Once again, a colorful welcome to all of you on my channel. So today's topic is Gauss theorem and electric flux. So before we going to that, up to now we have studied the electric field, right? So what is the expression for electric field? You all know 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square and r cap. The direction of electric field is along the radius vector, right? So when it's about point charge, it is easy to find out the electric field around that point charge, right? It's r and r distance away, so we can easily find out the electric field. But in case of it is not a point charge, it is a distributed charge. Suppose a surface is given to you like that, abnormal surface or ununiform surface, and you are said that this surface contains charge of q. So how to find out the electric field at a point r distance away from that surface? So it is tough to apply this formula, right? Because this is only applicable for point static charges. So what will we do? So here comes the concept of electric flux. Electric flux. So what is electric flux? It is defined as the total number of electric field lines crossing normal to a surface. So what is normal? Why it is normal to a surface? I will come to that part. Before that, let's say this is a surface, okay, and it is placed in a electric field of E. So the electric field lines will be like that, right? So some electric field line will cross this surface area and some will not, right? So the number of electric field lines crossing this area normal to this area will be defined as the electric flux. Okay, before going to the expression, we will come to a concept of area vector. What is area vector? Generally we say it is a rectangle. So what is its area? This is the area. But here, in case of such numerical problems, we will not only take the magnitude of the area. That means the magnitude of the area is A into B, length into breadth, right? So for numerical purpose, we will not consider area as only the value of the area or the magnitude of the area. That's means only scalar quantity. We will also consider the orientation of the area. Orientation means, suppose if you see this area from that side, if you see the area from that side, the area vector will be along the above direction, and if you see it from below, the area vector will be on the lower direction. So why we are bothering about the direction of the area? So in electric flux, what will we do? Suppose the surface will not always be along the electric field. It can be tilted to the electric field. Suppose the electric field lines are like that. Okay, let's take the electric field lines are like that, and the surface is like that. Okay, so let's take a elementary area of that portion. See, the elementary area of that portion is like that. So what will be the area vector? So we just consider the area vector as the magnitude of the area and the direction normal to the area from where we are seeing the area, right? So from that part, the direction of the area along this direction, area vector. Suppose if the magnitude of the area is ds, this normal vector can be written as, let's say, the unit vector normal to the area in that part, along this part, along this straight line is like that. Then the area vector will be like that, ds will be ds n cap. So let's see this paper. This is the surface area, right? So if we are, suppose this area is head like that, head like that, right? So what will happen if a person sees this area from this side, and what if a person sees this area from the reverse side? So the two person will see the same amount of area from reverse direction, right? So the direction of the area for both the person will be different. So for the person here in that point, the area will be on the right hand direction. So from here to here, so on the right hand direction, and the left hand side person will see the area on the left hand direction. Okay, the normal. Okay, so the normal portion, the viewer. So now see, this is electric field lines. The electric field lines direction is like that, and the direction of the area is like that. So what we have said, the electric flux phi, electric flux is defined as phi, the total number of electric fields crossing through the area normally. But here the electric field is not normal to the surface area, right? To that ds area, the electric field lines is not normal, but we can say the electric field lines make a angle theta with the area vector ds. Then we can say this electric field lines can be assumed to be, its sum of its electric field lines will go along this area vector. So what will be that? It will be E cos theta. Why? Because we know if this is a vector quantity and this is angle theta, right, then the component of this E in that direction will be E cos theta. So from that concept of vector we can easily write that. So that will be the total number of electric field lines which will be normal to the area ds, that will be the electric flux. And we know E is vector quantity, ds is vector quantity, and cos theta, theta is the angle between them, so it is the dot product of surface and electric field. Okay, and so now it is for only ds, so it will be d phi. So what will be the electric flux for the entire area? It will be just the integral. Integral means the total sum. So if we will consider this amount of area, total area will be sum of such fundamental or elementary area. So it will be the total phi, the total electric flux will be the integral of surface integral, because we are considering the surface here. Surface integral of the dot product of electric field and area. Okay, next we'll go to Gauss theorem. Okay, so Gauss theorem states that total electric flux through a closed surface, okay, closed surface, that is important point, closed surface enclosing a charge, enclosing an electric charge, okay, enclosing a charge is equal to 1 by epsilon times, or epsilon naught times, let's consider the ideal condition, times the charge which is enclosed, the charge enclosed. So what is mean by that? Suppose if a charge is taken like that. Okay, charge. If we consider a area, surface area, closed surface area like that, then the electric flux passes through that area, that total area, okay, that surface area, the electric flux passes through that surface area, okay. The electric field lines will be like that, right? We have already studied on the concept of electric lines of force. The total electric flux phi will be Q, the charge enclosed by this surface area, into 1 by epsilon naught times. Okay. Now it is considered ideal case, so it's epsilon naught. If it is suppose a medium of absolute permittivity epsilon, that it will be substituted by epsilon. Okay. Okay. Now another way, it is a closed surface, right? So we can say the flux through it, from the definition of electric flux, it is the surface integral of electric field and area, dot product of that. So we can write that for Gauss theorem it is also valid, but the integral will not be only integral, it will be a closed integral. Why? Because we are considering a closed surface. Okay, Gauss theorem is only applicable for closed surface. Why? Okay, actually not closed surface, we call it a Gaussian surface. Okay, Gaussian surface, that is also important point for the application purpose. Okay, Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface, we are considering it as a symmetrical surface generally. Symmetrical surface, a symmetrical surface. Symmetrical surface which is chosen cleverly around the charge to apply the Gauss law. Why we have to choose it cleverly and symmetrically? Because see here we are applying that part. Actually first, what is the motto to apply Gauss law or Gauss theorem? Gauss theorem, actually we use that to find out the electric field where we cannot directly apply this formula or apply the superposition theorem. So actually to find out the electric field in various situations we apply the Gauss law, right? So to find out the electric fields we have to apply these two electric flux equation. One is from Gauss law and one is from definition. So look at here at this expression, a area is there which is closed for Gauss law, right? So we have to consider this area in such a way we can easily determine the area. Suppose if we use a circular area, spherical area, circular area, or a rectangular area, or a triangular area, then we can easily find out the area, right? We know the formula for rectangle, the area of rectangle, the area for circle or the sphere, and the area for cylinder. But what if it is a irregular in shape, asymmetrical in nature? Then it will be very tough to find out the area. So it will not be easy to find out the electric field. That's why we will consider the Gaussian surface, or we will choose the Gaussian surface very cleverly. Okay. Using Gauss theorem we can easily find out electric field, as well as we can also prove the Coulomb's law. Okay. Okay, first let's prove the Gauss law for a special case. So what is Gauss law? We know a charge is enclosed by a surface. Let's take a charge. Suppose this is a charge Q. So let's say, okay, what about its electric fields? If it is a positive, let's say it's a positive charge, right? Plus Q. So what's about its electric field lines? So it will be like that. The electric field lines will start from plus Q and it will terminate in infinity, as there is no negative charge, right? So the electric field lines will be like that. it will go to each and every direction towards infinity, because we have no idea where the infinite is. It will be in all direction. So look at the directions. So we can say these electric field lines are radially symmetric or spherically symmetric, right? So from a point source, if a light is coming from a point source in 3D structure, it will go to all the portion symmetrically or spherically, right? So we can say we will consider a surface, spherical surface. That is Gaussian surface for us, for this special purpose. Okay. Now let's took suppose let's took a elementary surface for the whole spherical. We will find out the flux. Before that, we will just consider the elementary portion, elementary surface ds. So what will be the direction of this surface? It will along this electric field, because we know the direction of the surface is normal to the surface. So the direction of the surface area will be like that, ds. Let's take it as ds. So now we know, as it was considered as a point charge, and let's take the distance as r. The spherical have radius of r. Okay, so all having r, right? So we, from electric field equation, we know electric field equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square, right? The electric field at this point will be that. And from the definition of electric flux, right, d phi will be, for this part, d phi will be like that, E dot ds, right? Now the angle between E and ds is 0 degree, because ds is along E. So cos theta cos 0 degree will be 1. So it will be just only E ds. Now to find out the total flux, we will just make a closed surface integral of the d phi, right? So it will be E ds, closed surface integral. Now look at that, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square, which is constant, because r is already taken as fixed here. So you will come before the integration sign, and the integration will only be done for the ds part. So now it is ds. So what will be the integration, the closed integration of this ds? It will be total surface of the sphere. So what is the total surface of the sphere of radius r? It will very easy. Sorry, q by r square was just yes, q by r square. And what is the integration of closed integration of ds? It will be just 4 pi r square. We know the surface area of sphere, closed sphere is 4 pi r square. So 4 pi will be cut down, r square will be cut down. It will only remain q by epsilon naught. So what is the flux? Phi equal to q by epsilon naught. Let's look at the Gauss theorem. It is the Gauss theorem, right? So it is the Gauss theorem proved. Okay, we can also consider this point charge. Okay, this point charge not only in the center, anywhere of this closed surface. But if such case, the closed surface may not be sphere. Okay, you have to choose the surface as per your application. Okay, sometime it can be sphere, sometime it can be rectangle, cube, sometime it can be cylinder. Okay, it's differ as per the choice of application. Okay, next we will prove the Coulomb's law using Gauss law. So what is Coulomb's law? If two point charges are like that, q1, q2, and it is r distance apart, the force between them will be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square, right? Now let's take the charge q only here. q1 only here. So what is its electric field lines? It will be like that. It's same, right? 2 point charges, just charges q here and q1 is here. So if we take a surface, closed surface, to apply Gauss law, r distance away from this point charge, okay, so we can consider a closed surface like that, right, which is a r distance. It will be sphere. In 3D it will be sphere light. So we can apply Gauss law here. How easily? We will just apply the electric field lines. Let's say take a elementary area here, which have direction in that part, and the electric field line also directed in that region in that direction, because we know the electric field lines will be like that, spherically symmetric. So the angle between ds and E is 0. So we apply Gauss law. We know phi equal to q by epsilon naught from Gauss law, right? So here it will be q1, and we know again from the definition phi equal to E dot ds, surface integration of E dot ds. For this it will be d phi. The total flux we are not considering, we are just considering the d phi, the flux for only this elementary area. So it will be E dot ds, and we know angle between ds and E is 0 degree, so cos 0 degree is 1, so it will be only ds, right? So d phi will be E ds. Okay, so what will be total flux? Total flux will be the surface in closed surface integration of that. So you can say the closed surface integration of that. Now it comes outside, it is constant, okay, as it is symmetric radially. So the surface area of that E, surface area of sphere is 4 pi r square, right? So this flux is equal to this flux from Gauss law. So phi equal to q1 by epsilon naught equal to 4 pi r square, E into 4 pi r square. So from this expression we can find out the electric field due to charge q1, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 by r square. It's easy. Now from the concept of electric fields, we know the force is equal to charge into electric field. So here we can say the force here on the charge q2, if we place this point charge q2 here, right, it will be the electric field due to q1, which is E, and the charge q2. So in that expression, E, if we substitute E by that, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and q1 by r square, and q2 will be here. So look at that, it is the expression or magnitude of the Coulomb's law. So it is the proof of Coulomb's law. So that's how we can easily apply Gauss theorem to prove the Coulomb's law. Okay. Now comes to some basics application of Gauss law. Okay. First we will consider, we will find out the electric field due to a line charge. So for that we will take a line charge distribution. Okay, so we can consider a infinitely long. Okay, so why infinitely long? Because for that part the electric field lines will be symmetric in nature. Why? I will come after that. Before that, let's take so this charge q, let's say that charge q is uniformly distributed over this line, right? So we have to find out the electric field lines around this charge. So let's say a point here P or R, any point. So we have to find out the electric fields here. So to find out, we have to apply Gauss law. To apply Gauss law, we have to consider a Gaussian surface. Okay, so here the Gaussian surface will be a, uh, a cylinder in nature. How? Let's say this charge. Suppose one of the charge. So we know this is a point charge. So this total lines will contain an infinite number of point charges. We can say that, right? So let's take a only point charge. So what will be its electric field? It will be radially symmetric, right? So it will be like that, like that, like that, right? Electric field and here. But as there is another point charge just above it and just below it, so these point charge also having some electric field lines like that. Okay, so these two electric field lines, so these electric field lines will nullify each other, the effect of each other. So the actual electric field lines will be like that, the actual field lines, and it will be again radially symmetric. Okay, just try to view it on the 3D. So how it will be look like on 3D? The electric field line, it will look like in a shape of a cylinder. So the electric field lines will be will look like as a cylindrical form. So let's consider the cylinder here. So if we take the cylinder having length of L, okay, and the distance from the we are just considering this point. Okay, we say to this point, let's take this point. So the distances are so now we have to find out the electric field here. So look at that. To find out the electric field, we will just take a elementary surface area ds, which having the direction ds like that, which is just along the electric field lines. They are all electric field lines, so ds is along electric field lines, so angle between them is 0, theta is 0. So we can easily find out the phi. So phi equal to E at dot ds, and cos theta, cos 0 degree is 0. Okay, so it will be d phi. So the total will be phi equal to integration of surface of d phi. So it will be E ds, sorry, surface integral. So what if we just integral this elementary area? So it will lead to whole area of this cylinder. So what is the area of whole cylinder? Okay, no, we are not considering this area. Okay, only this part. Why we are coming to? Because there is no electric field lines. Look at that upper and lower part. In that two area there is no electric field line, so we will not consider those area. We will consider those area only which from which some electric field lines are crossing. So from the definition of electric flux, okay, so it will be 2 pi RL. We know the surface area of the cylinder, right? And from Gauss law we know the phi equal to q by epsilon naught. So just from these two equation we can say E into 2 pi RL, right? So E equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught q by RL, right? Now we have said this is not only a small cylinder, right? This is an infinitely long straight line which has uniformly distributed of charge q. For the ease of application, we are considering a small cylinder of length L. So we can take it as the surface charge density, right? How surface charge density? We can say, we can take the linear charge density. Here it is a line charge. So linear charge density, which can be defined as lambda, which is the charge per unit length. If the total charge q is divided in L length, so per unit length it will be q by L, right? So if we increase the L, the q will be increased proportionately. So we can say this is constant, lambda is constant for any length, right? It either it is up to an infinite large, or it will be very small. The lambda is constant because it is uniformly charged, right? So that's mean if 5 coulomb charge is within 10 meter long, then for 100 meter it will consist of 50 coulomb charge. So per unit length it will be 5 by 10 or equal to 50 by 100, that's mean 0.5 coulomb charge. So does not matter either the length is very high or very low, the charge density is constant all over this line, right? So you can say the electric field will be 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by r. So look at that expression, as lambda is constant for uniform line charge. Okay, so this electric fields due to that line charge is independent of the charge, sorry, independent of the length, because it does not matter lambda for a smaller length or for a higher length, it's constant, right? Okay, now we will go to the next application, which is electric field due to infinite, okay, infinitely thin plane sheet of charges. So why we are taking infinitely thin? Because we have to neglect the thickness. Okay, why? We will come to that part later. Let's take a, suppose, a surface of charge plus q. So this surface contains a charge of q, and let's say the area of this whole surface is S. So the area vector will be like that, normal to that. So it will be like that, right? So electric field lines will also be like that. Suppose let's consider a elementary portion, elementary area, right? So electric field lines will be like that, in that way, okay, normal to the surface, and the area of this will be, let's say the area is ds here, okay, the total area is S. Let's take that elementary is ds, elementary area. Okay, so now we have to find out the electric field. How to find out? Just apply the Gauss law. To apply Gauss law, we can let's say in that point we will find out the Gauss law. So we can easily enclose this point by a symmetrical surface, right? Easily we can find out. So on the reverse direction we can also we can extend this cylinder. Why? Because as we are taking it's a infinitely thin plane, okay, so the charge, this plus charge, will appear on the both sides of the area. That's mean if we say the plus charge, plus 5 coulomb charge is here in that part of the area, as it is infinitely thin, so that plus charge plus 5 coulomb charge will also be seen in that part also, right? So electric field lines for this plus 5 coulomb charge will be from here to here in the right hand direction, and the electric field lines for this left hand plus coulomb charge, it will be on the reverse direction, because we all know the for a point charge the electric field lines is all over, enter all over the, it's radial symmetric, okay, it comes to all in all directions, okay. So here we can say it will the electric field lines will go on the right direction as well as the left hand directions, okay. So we can take the right hand direction as the positive direction. If we start from here, the electric field lines or the electric field in that direction will be positive, and the reverse direction we can take it as negative, okay. So we have to determine the electric field, okay. Let's say it's r distance away, you can take that, right? Okay, let's take it's r distance away. it's r distance away from this part, this elementary area. Okay, from this, for this elementary area. So for that we will find out the electric field. So the total flux will be, for this just elementary area, d phi will be E dot ds, and we already seen that the electric field lines is along this ds direction. So cos theta will be 1, because cos 0 degree is 1, 0 degree the angle between them, E ds, right? So what will be, okay, here it will be not only this area. Suppose if we take this charge here, right, this point here, okay, it will consist both the right side area and the left side area. So we will take the 2 area here, so it will be 2. So the total will be phi equal to, which is E, so it is just ds. Let's say the total area is S. Already we have taken it, the total area of the surface area is S, so you can say the total area is 2S. Now again from Gauss law we know it's q by epsilon naught, because this charge is enclosed by, suppose say this it has q charge which is enclosed by this surface. Okay, so we can say q by epsilon naught equal to E into 2S. So from here we can say E equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught q by S. Now look at that, as we know this is lambda q by L, that's mean charge per unit length. Here it's charge per unit area. Okay, and again same concept is here. Okay, if we just increase the area, proportionately the charge will increase. So you can say it is the charge density, surface charge density, and surface charge density is written as sigma q by S. So you can say it 2 by epsilon naught sigma. So the electric field for the this plane sheet, infinite thin plane sheet, the electric fields here, it is 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught into sigma, where sigma is the surface charge density. Okay, surface charge density, and it is line charge density, line charge density, line charge density. Okay, line charge density lambda, lambda is known as line charge density, as sigma is known as surface charge density. Now electric field is here is positive, and on the reverse direction it will be negative. It is